welcome back to my channel. If you didn't already know, which I'm guessing you didn't, my name is Niamh, and yeah, welcome. If you are new here or haven't subscribed yet, then please feel free to subscribe. That would be really, really nice. So basically, the reason I'm doing this video is a couple of days ago I posted on my Instagram a post about borderline personality disorder, and it got quite a good reception. If you want to go and look at the post, then I'll put my Instagram on the screen here. If you want to follow me, feel free. I'm gonna try and post a few more informative things like this in the future and get back to my roots and put some actually like important stuff amongst all my like narcissistic behaviour. So yes, if you would like to see more from me, then my Instagram, as I said, is on the screen. Anyway, so the purpose of this video is to give advice to people who either are diagnosed with BPD or suffer from the symptoms and think they have it, and obviously a diagnosis is a long process to get. It's sort of to give advice to anyone who needs it about how to deal with these symptoms. I'm not saying that any of this stuff will work for you, and it won't come easy to you. If it does, great, but if it doesn't, then don't be hard. As fucking Jess Glynn said, don't be so hard on yourself now. If you want to unsubscribe for that reference, I'd like let me know in the comments that you have, because like I deserve that. Yeah, anyway, moving on. So the first piece of advice I've got is understand that you are not a bad person. You have an illness that makes you act this way, and if you are coming onto my video trying to seek help, then you clearly don't like the actions that are making you think you're a bad person. If you recognise that some of the things you do aren't great for you or other people around you, then you're one step ahead of all the bad people who do things to hurt other people. Just because you have BPD, and just because there's a stigma around it, and just because you feel insecure within who you are as a person, does not mean you are a bad person. Period. Next is that therapy and medication are worth trying to get, like they are, and that's coming from someone who has been in the mental health system for like 3 years now and haven't seen a day of proper therapy under them. It is worth it, and I know this because I ended up paying for only 10 sessions because we ran out of money of dialectical behavioural therapy, DBT, I don't know how you say it, and I'm still trying to get help on the NHS because it's so difficult to navigate, but keep trying, keep pushing, especially if you're someone who's watching this video and you don't know whether you have BPD and you keep getting brushed off by doctors, or you feel like you've been misdiagnosed. Push, because it is your mind and your mental health, and you deserve to get the treatment that you need. With medication, it's a lot easier to get it. That was the first thing that they offered me because of the waiting lists. They offered me antipsychotics, and I didn't want to go on them before I tried therapy. I am on Sertraline, which I do have a video all about how that has helped me, so I will link that down below and you can go and watch it after if that's something you're interested in. If you are suffering with BPD, then there is a chance that you are suffering with really heightened emotions that really can overtake you and suck you in at times, and my advice on how to deal with them is that recognise that those feelings will not last forever and wait it out. Like, I know our instinct is to do like impulsive things and to think the world is over, and I know it's so difficult to not think like that, trust me, I know, but the beauty of having a diagnosis is that you know that it is your illness, and so with that I have learned to recognise that I am feeling that way, and also recognise that even though it's valid, it will not last forever. So just do something to distract you, to wait it out. And I later on in the video I am going to give you some tips of distraction techniques. And then that leads us on to, although I have said like wait out these intense feelings, that doesn't mean that they aren't valid. Like every single feeling you feel is valid, no matter if somebody else tells you it's not real, no matter if someone else tells you you're being over dramatic. How you feel is how you feel. That you cannot change. What you can change is how you act on those feelings and how you get yourself out of that place. And that leads me on to my next point of, when you do feel a certain way, then to ask yourself why you are feeling that way and dissect that emotion. Like obviously don't go into anything too triggering, especially when you are very in that like emotional episode, but figure out what has caused that, because one, it's good to identify your triggers, and two, it might help you rationalize the feelings and the situation in your head, because whilst what you're feeling is real, you may not, how do I say this? It may not be a rational reaction to the situation, it may be your BPD. Obviously both the rational, I am doing this because how we feel is valid, so that's what I'm going to say. Obviously both the rational and the BPD emotion are valid, it's just that for your own safety and your own peace of mind, you might react differently to the situation if you manage to work out your BPD emotion. So yeah, that leads us on to, if you do realise that it is your BPD, and it might not be best to react to the situation right now, you might say things you don't mean, you might harm yourself, or you might get yourself mixed in with other emotions that you don't need to at that point, then that's when the waiting it out and distracting yourself really comes in. Thing with BPD as well, like that's why I find distracting myself works, because the feelings do go away. Even if it is a situation where like I am gonna be upset or angry about it in the long term, I do find it much nicer and healthier to sort of distract myself until I feel ready to tackle that emotion. So some healthy distraction techniques include taking a shower, which some of these I know are so like exhausting, and like the last thing you want to do is get up and go and take a shower, but then once you're actually in the shower and maybe you've got some One Direction blast in or whatever, you do calm down usually. At least, well, I do. As much as I'm like, I don't want to go and do that, and then I go and do it and I'm like, yeah, well done past me, I was kind of right to do that. Obviously it's not the same for everyone, but yeah, have a nap, don't feel guilty about it, and you're more than likely to wake up in a different mood after your nap, and then you're more rejuvenated in order to deal with the feelings, because they are really exhausting to have. Talk to someone outside of the situation. Now this is an important one anyway, like regardless of whether you have BPD or not, you don't want to always voice your instant opinions to people in the situation, just in case maybe because of your anger or your hurt or whatever, you're unable to see their perspective. Especially if it's in a situation where they're emotionally charged as well, because they're going to say things they don't mean, they're going to be defensive, and it's just, you're going to be at loggerheads, it's going to be a recipe for disaster. Whereas if you talk to someone out of the picture, one, they could make you see from another person's perspective, two, they could maybe make you feel more validated within your feelings, and three, it might just calm you down to get it out to someone. This is one that I seldom do because I'm a lazy bitch, but go for a walk. It is calming, exercise is good for you. Maybe listen to music, don't go on your phone, but take your phone so that you don't get kidnapped, you know? And then also, if the argument is happening on your phone, maybe go off your phone and have a think and work with yourself on all the other points of like, am I reacting well to this? How should I deal with this? What am I feeling? And really, really feel those feelings, because every feeling, and I will say this over and over again, every feeling that you have is valid and should be felt. And that's why they're called feelings. If you want to use your phone or maybe your computer or something to distract yourself, and the whole like TV film thing doesn't work for you, because it doesn't really work for me, because it's a bit overwhelming to sit and concentrate on something. I usually don't concentrate on it and I just get in my head. Then I usually look up how I'm feeling in the situation and like BPD and stuff on websites like Almighty, I think it's called, and Quora. I will link those down below. Anything in my life that I kind of don't have the answer to, and maybe I am feeling very within myself that day and I don't really want to go to one of my friends, or I want an even more outside perspective, I'll look it up, and those are the websites that usually come up. And
okay.
And those websites are really helpful, especially Quora. I literally get emails from that like every day, and they are really weirdly always in tune with like what's going on in my life. It just makes you feel and know that you're not alone, and is also just calming to read about it and distract yourself. So I highly, highly recommend those websites. And last but not least, I will say it again, I will say it from the top of fucking Kilimanjaro, I will say it all day, every day. Whoever you are, know that your emotions are real and should never be belittled by anyone or ignored. I don't care if someone sits there and says, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't be that sad, maybe it's just your BPD. It doesn't matter if it is just your BPD, okay? You're feeling those emotions, that's important. Work through them, feel them, spat everywhere, and try your best to help yourself, because this is who it's about. It's about you, your recovery, and looking after yourself. So, on that note, thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and subscribe.